Hi, I'm Michael. This is Lessons from the Screenplay. Parasite is a tense social satire about a poor family, the Kims, who con their way into becoming the servants of a rich family, the Parks. In February 2020, it made history by becoming the first non-English language film to ever win Best Picture at the Academy Awards, which raises the question, why was this South Korean film able to resonate across the world? There are many answers to this question. Co-writer and director Bong Joon-ho executes masterful filmmaking from start to finish. The performances are compelling, and the plot tells the story of a disillusionment arc in a visceral way. But I want to focus on one aspect in particular: the way Parasite cleverly utilizes symbols and motifs to express its theme. These are tools that can transcend culture and language, directing our focus to the film's exploration of wealth versus poverty again and again. So today, I want to demonstrate how Bong Joon-ho establishes key symbols to represent the Kim family's aspirational beliefs, as well as the truth they can't escape. To explore how these symbols are developed into motifs that enrich the characters' emotional journeys. And to examine the way these motifs come to an explosive end that fully renders the film's theme. Let's take a look at Parasite. A symbol is simply a thing that represents or stands for something else. And as John Truby points out, this simple representation can have a powerful impact on an audience, writing, "Symbols give you a hidden language that emotionally sways the audience. Just as matter is highly concentrated energy, a symbol is highly concentrated meaning." There are many symbols in Parasite, but there are two in particular that I want to follow: the viewing stone and smell. The viewing stone is introduced early in the film, shortly after we meet the Kim family. From the very first scene, we understand that they are living a life of poverty. But the son, Ki-woo, believes they can work their way out of poverty and join the affluent class. When Ki-woo's wealthy friend Min pays the family a visit, he brings them a gift, a viewing stone.
근데 특히 이돌은 가정에 많은 재물운과 합격운을 몰고 다니면서
The captions for Ki-woo's response say,
야, 이거 진짜 상징적인 거네.
And in the screenplay, that line is written as,
야, 이거 진짜 상징적인 거네.
In both cases, the intention is clear. The viewing stone is a symbol. As Bong Joon-ho says, that rock is assigned this very unique position. It's a kind of obsession for the young son. Throughout the film, he's trying to imitate Min, his rich friend who initiated him into this world. Min disappears in this film after giving him the rock, but the rock is sort of the remnant of his character. The viewing stone represents Ki-woo's belief that he's destined for a more successful future, just like his friend Min. This first symbol is introduced early in the film on page 9. The second symbol I want to examine isn't explicitly introduced until page 57. At this point in the story, the entire Kim family has infiltrated the home of the Parks, masquerading as strangers in various domestic positions. And as Bong Joon-ho says, the jobs that these characters take, tutoring, housekeeping, and driving, feature a rare moment where the rich and poor are together in a very private space and so close to one another that they can smell each other. It was kind of the perfect device in the story. Ta-song suddenly starts sniffing the air. Ta-song darts over to Ki-taek and shoves his nose in his pant leg. He runs over to Chung-suk and shoves his nose in her belly, startling her greatly.
똑같다. 둘이 냄새가 똑같아.
When the Park family's young son notices that all the Kims smell the same, he's unknowingly threatening to reveal their true identities. But beyond serving a function in the plot, smell is used as a symbol. It represents the poverty that the Kims, and particularly Ki-taek, can't escape.
반지하 냄새야. 이 집을 떠나야 냄새가 없어진다고.
But rather than simply introducing a symbol and utilizing it once, symbols can be repeated and even manipulated over time. As John Truby again writes, a symbol creates a resonance, like ripples in a pond, every time it appears. As you repeat the symbol, the ripples expand and reverberate in the minds of the audience, often without their being consciously aware of it. When symbols are repeated, they create a motif. The word motif has several definitions, but for the purpose of this video, we'll use the literary definition detailed in an article by Masterclass. Motif is a literary technique that consists of a repeated element that has symbolic significance to a literary work. So in Parasite, the introduction of the viewing stone as a representation of Ki-woo's aspiration for wealth creates a symbol. But when the film repeatedly brings the viewing stone back, it becomes a motif. So what's special about repeating a symbol to create a motif? Let's look at how and when Parasite brings back the viewing stone to examine this. Returning to earlier in the film, after Ki-woo receives the stone, he starts taking bold actions to pursue his aspiration of wealth and status. With Min's recommendation, and after forging a college degree, he gets a tutoring job for the Parks. So right when the Kim family seems to have achieved some success, the script brings back the symbol of the viewing stone. A short, barely standing drunk man is relieving himself in the corner. Ki-woo jumps up. He grabs the viewing stone from the table and walks toward the door. Seeing the symbol of the viewing stone again reminds us of its original meaning, Ki-woo's aspiration for wealth and status. But when we first saw it, Ki-woo had no prospects. Now, he and his family are on their way to achieving their goal. The next time we see the rock, however, Ki-woo's aspirations are in jeopardy. After the Park family nearly discovers their true identities, the Kims return to their semi-basement apartment and find it completely flooded. Something touches his foot in the water. He bends over and reaches into the murky depths, eventually finding the viewing stone that Min-hyuk gave the family as a gift. Ki-woo pants heavily as he hugs the rock. It's like he just found a precious treasure. Again, we remember what it once meant. First, aspiration for wealth and status, then what seemed to be success toward that goal. And now, as Ki-woo clutches it to his chest, we see how he is desperately clinging to this goal that is slipping away.
돌은 왜 그렇게 껴안고 있냐? 얘가 자꾸 나한테 달라붙는 거예요.
This recurrence has created a motif, one that externalizes Ki-woo's inner feelings about wealth and status. The symbol of smell becomes a motif as well. After it's introduced as a representation of the poverty Ki-taek cannot escape from, that idea is reinforced over and over again.
야, 어디서 그 냄새가 나는데?
뭔 냄새?
김 기사님 스멜.
Ki-taek becomes nervous. He smells his t-shirt.
아무튼 뭐 말로 설명하기 힘들고. 가끔 그 지하철 타면 나는 냄새 있어. 그런 거랑 비슷해.
몰라, 난 너무 오래돼서 지하철 타본 지.
전반적으로 말이나 행동이 선을 넘을 듯 말 듯 하면서도 결국엔 절대 손을 안 넘거든. 그건 좋아. 근데 냄새가 손을 넘지, 냄새가.
Ki-taek, Ki-woo, and Ki-jung can do nothing but silently take hit after hit. The Kim family's relationship with poverty and the invisible line that separates them is explored throughout the film using the motif of smell. We've now seen how a story can take something like a stone and imbue it with meaning to create a symbol, and how that symbol can be repeated, commented on, and manipulated to create a motif. But there's one last step in this progression. In Parasite, the two motifs together express the story's theme. So what is theme? In a recent podcast we did for the patrons of Beyond the Screenplay, the whole LFTS team weighed in on how to define theme and how to recognize it. As Trisha Aran said,
theme is a lesson that you could take away from a story that is textually supported by the story. So it has to be something that you can point to. That this is in there, and this is in there, and this is in there. All of these things are related to this large question about life or humankind or the universe.
But then, how is theme different from motif? In the Cambridge Introduction to Narrative, author H. Porter Abbott describes the differences between motif and theme. As technical terms, they are often used interchangeably, though motif is especially varied in its meanings. But as a general working rule for the discussion of narrative, a theme is abstract and a motif is concrete. Essentially, a motif is something you can point to in the text of a film. The viewing stone appears on screen, smell is discussed in characters' dialogue. But theme is the meaning being expressed by these motifs. In Parasite, we can see this most clearly as the story builds to its climax. After their narrow escape and the flooding of their home, we see a kind of despair beginning to take hold of Ki-taek.
절대 실패하지 않는 계획이 만절하네. 무계획이야, 무계획. 노 플랜.
The motif of smell comes back again and again to remind Ki-taek of his place in the lower class, pushing him toward a breaking point. Meanwhile, Ki-woo is very close to attaining his dream of wealth and status.
다들 멋있다, 그치? 이렇게 금방 모였는데도 다들 쿨하고 되게 자연스럽네. 나 잘 어울려?
But there's a problem. The previous housekeeper and her husband, tied up in the basement, know Ki-woo's true identity and could ruin everything. So the motif of the viewing stone returns as he grabs the symbol to use as a weapon against those who threaten his dream. But while Ki-woo is hoping to use the stone to free him once and for all from a life of poverty, it actually becomes a symbol of his destruction. And it's at this moment that the motif of smell returns one last time in the film's violent climax. When Ki-taek is confronted with the fact that the smell of poverty is an inextricable part of who he is, and finally snaps. Symbols are introduced and assigned meaning, repeated and modified to create motifs, which ultimately express one of the story's core themes. People in poverty, regardless of their dreams, often do not have the power to join the affluent class. Parasite is an excellent example of how to use the age-old literary devices of symbols and motifs to elevate an already great premise. They can transcend language and culture, creating stories that resonate across the world. And in the case of Parasite, the result is a pitch-perfect social satire that speaks to our times and leaves us with a film that has become a symbol of its own. Hey guys, Michael here. Hope you enjoyed the video. I want to quickly tell you about a project I'm involved with called Nebula. Nebula is a subscription streaming platform developed by and featuring creators like myself. It's a place where you can watch all of our videos ad-free and where we can experiment and create exclusive content, which we call Nebula Originals. In the Casino Royale video, I mentioned other film creators on Nebula, and there are a lot of awesome ones. But Nebula features creators from all across the educational content space. Do you love Polyphonic's video essays on all things music? He's got a 4-part Nebula original called The Dark Side of the Moon Project. Do you enjoy having fascinating biology explained as if we're all in a video game? Tirzu has a Nebula original series called Let's Play Outside. And are you a nerd like me that is completely engrossed by detailed examination of the logistics of various large-scale systems? Wendover Productions has an epic Nebula original called The World's Most Useful Airport. By signing up for Nebula, you're supporting creators you love and getting some exclusive content in return. But it gets even better. CuriosityStream, the streaming service home to thousands of top-quality nonfiction shows and documentaries, has partnered with Nebula. So if you sign up for CuriosityStream using the link in the description below, you get Nebula for free. With this bundle, you're supporting independent creators like myself and getting CuriosityStream and its thousands of great documentaries. So head to the link in the description below to sign up today. Thanks to CuriosityStream for sponsoring this video, and thank you as always to the patrons on Patreon for making this channel possible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.